Hello, everybody, and welcome. Good afternoon. My name's Don Arleth, and you're watching World News, coming to you live from Warsaw. The European Union's environment ministers have made a deal watering down a proposed 2040 target for cutting planet warming emissions and to set a new 2035 climate plan. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins is standing by in Brussels and has more. Good afternoon, Angela. So what does this watered down climate goals look like? What can you tell us about what we're hearing in some reports in the media?
Yes, so the European Commission initially proposed a scaling back of emissions to 90% by 2040 based on industrial 1990 levels. The clincher here was 3% of this could be used by carbon credits. This is the sequestering of carbon by investing in foreign projects such as environmental farms and the like. However, negotiations went into late Tuesday evening, early Wednesday morning. The deal was struck. However, but carbon credits, 5% can be used for that 2030 target. This is significantly more than what the European Commission envisaged. However, those EU climate ministers and environment ministers needed to reach a deal before the COP30 climate summit in Brazil kicks off on Thursday. We know countries such as Poland, Slovakia and Hungary firmly rejected this climate goal, stating that it would hit industry hard. But Denmark, which chairs the EU Council presidency at the moment, that Danish Environment Minister Lars Agard said that this new climate target should appease everyone as it allows countries to stay on track when it comes to their competitiveness while also supporting the environment.
Okay, Angela Skujin is reporting for us from Brussels. Thank you for that report. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said that despite its limitations, the United Nations remains the best channel of communication between countries worldwide. Sikorski spoke on Wednesday at a conference marking the 80th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations, organized at the University of Warsaw.
We know that the UN does not have a solution to every problem. It is the only forum where our voice has a chance to reach the attention of all 192 other member states. I cannot imagine a better channel for communicating the truth, in this case about Russian aggression in Ukraine. It is the way to explain to the world that this is not a regional conflict, but a war with global consequences driven by Kremlin's neo-imperialism.
It's the 75th anniversary of the European Convention on Human Rights. And despite Russia leaving the convention upon its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the European Court of Human Rights is still holding the Kremlin accountable for, of course, atrocities, suspected war crimes, and even the crime of aggression committed before it left the convention.
November 4th marks 75 years since the signing of the European Convention on Human Rights, a treaty that made a set of fundamental rights binding. Today, it is interpreted by the European Court of Human Rights, and its effects are palpable.
The European Convention on Human Rights, for example, has abolished the death penalty. It's the region that has no death penalty thanks to the convention. In a post-World War II era, it was very essential to ensure freedom of speech and private life. This in totalitarian regimes and communist regimes were seen as unthinkable.
The treaty was established by the Council of Europe and is applicable to its 46 members. Although Russia has not been a Council of Europe member since 2022, the court continues to review applications against Moscow for actions until then.
The European Court of Human Rights has ruled in a number of important interstate conflicts in Europe, especially in relation to Russia's use of force against Georgia, Russia's use of force and aggression against Ukraine.
The court unanimously.
Just in October, the court ordered Russia to pay Georgia €253 million for violations after the 2008 conflict between the two countries, when Russia restricted crossings between Georgian-controlled territory and the Russian-backed breakaway regions. But already in 2022, Russia signaled it would no longer comply with the court's decisions, raising questions about their relevance.
If a person or a state is super powerful, do we say, oh, they're too powerful, we won't hold them to account, we'll let them get away with it, they can just carry on as normal? No, a court here solemnly adjudicated the evidence and reached a binding conclusion. I don't know if that conclusion will ever be delivered on in terms of compensation, but forevermore, Russia will be seen to have been judged and found wanting.
But it is not just Russia that questions the relevance of the convention. The UK's Conservatives leader announced they would have the UK leave the treaty should they win the next election, arguing the convention blocks migration reforms, prompting more questions whether the current legal order is up to date.
Well, the first thing I'd say to those who say this order is no longer relevant, tell me what the alternative is. Show me Plan B as the roadmap to honour human dignity. It doesn't exist.
Today we are launching the process to create a tribunal.
Among the Council of Europe's more recent initiatives is the push towards the establishment of the special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine, intended to hold Russia's senior leaders accountable for the invasion. For TVP World, I'm Sonia Gatabishchan.
Overnight on Wednesday, Ukrainian aerial attacks hit the Russian city of Oryol, damaging a thermal power plant. At the same time, explosions were reported in Vladimir, where drones hit an energy facility in the city's suburbs.
Videos of the attacks posted by residents were filmed just 1 kilometer from the city's thermal power plant. This is located near the Oryol Techmash defense production facility, which manufactures equipment for servicing and evacuating military vehicles. Oryol region governor claimed that Ukrainian drones were targeting the region and that Russian air defense units destroyed the UAVs. Residents, however, claim it was not a drone attack but a missile strike. Meanwhile, Vladimir region governor reported that drones attacked an energy facility in the suburbs of Vladimir. According to him, despite the strikes, all systems are operating normally.
On Tuesday, Ukraine's Minister of Defense said that the situation on the Eastern Front is under control. Speaking from Joint Expeditionary Force Defense Ministers meeting in Norway, Shmyhal added that the toughest situation is in Pokrovsk, but Ukrainians continue to push the Russians out of their territory.
So situation is difficult, but it's under control. So we deter Russian army. We create so-named kill zone or gray zone where everything is covered by drones and nothing can move. Only the weather conditions let Russians to infiltrate in some villages or cities, so they use it. And we have some such situations in some cities, including Pokrovsk. So there are some infiltrated Russian troops, but we continue defend operation, including Pokrovsk, where the situation is toughest. Pokrovsk city is still under Ukrainian control fully, and we continue to deter our territories.
Detained in Italy over the attack on the Nord Stream pipeline claims that he's being mistreated by authorities and has gone on a hunger strike since the end of last month. His lawyer is demanding better conditions and equal treatment as he awaits potential extradition to Germany.
The lawyer announced that he had requested the intervention of the prison administration and the Italian Ministry of Justice. Earlier, he argued that the court in Bologna failed to verify procedural guarantees and conditions of the Ukrainians' future imprisonment in Germany. Additionally, he drew attention to the political and military nature of alleged acts, which are part of operations related to an ongoing armed conflict. On October 27th, the Bologna Court of Appeal agreed to transfer the 49-year-old Ukrainian suspected of attacking the Nord Stream pipeline in 2022 to the German justice system. The case is not the same case related to the Nord Stream sabotage, as previously the Polish justice system refused to extradite another Ukrainian allegedly involved in the incident.
She wants accountability for her son and others killed in the Novi Sad tragedy and went on a hunger strike to get it. The mother of one of the victims who lost his life in the disaster spoke exclusively to TVP World amid anti-government demonstrations in Belgrade. Protesters have gathered in front of the Serbian parliament in solidarity with the strike. More than 1 year since the collapse of the railway station canopy in Novi Sad killed 16 people.
Hundreds of Serbs have gathered for another wave of protests following the anniversary of the Novi Sad disaster. In November last year, a concrete canopy at a newly renovated train station collapsed, killing 16 people. The Serbian government has failed to bring to justice those responsible for the poor construction of the structure, the collapse of which killed the son of Diana Hrka, who committed herself to a hunger strike.
Why are we doing this? We're doing it because we seek justice for the 16 victims of the roof collapse. Because to this day, no one has been tried, nobody has been jailed, nobody has been convicted. The prosecutors aren't doing their jobs, and I think they're trying to cover it up. It's been over a year and they still haven't done a thing. Every student who was beaten, every student who splashed water on the police was immediately detained. That's injustice. We don't have a justice system or the rule of law. What we have is plenty of corruption. Corruption killed those people.
Diana's frustrations with the Serbian government aren't tied to just its handling of the aftermath of the Novi Sad tragedy, but also school shootings over the past few years.
I'm trying to get the prosecution to do its job as much as I can. That's a start. I'm not going to give up my fight. I'm going to see it through to the end, whatever it takes. Justice must be served because a lot of terrible things have happened in Serbia and a lot of children have been killed over the past 2-3 years and there's been no response. We've endured it in silence and I think it's time we stand up, stop being silent and say that we're not going to take it anymore. And I think we can do it because we're united. We're in this together. This tragedy has united us, and I think together we can win.
Protests sparked by the Novi Sad tragedy have been ongoing since the disaster occurred, showing the Serbian people's determination in demanding justice for the 16 victims.
And that's all the time we have here on World News. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.